1340, 96.5 KVGC. On the phone, Douglas Viviani of Everything Old is New Again. Douglas and David Cohen co-host the little show called Everything Old is New Again. It's the little show that could, kind of like the little engine that could, you know, or the rubber tree plant song. Remember that ant, the ant that can't, the rubber tree?
Yeah, Frank Sinatra.
Remember that? That's what Everything Old is New Again. It's the little show that can. Okay?
Yeah, we keep on plugging away, trying to put a smile on someone's face every week.
Each week, examining our pop culture, where it came from, and why it's still popular, and definitely making radio fun again. Let's make radio fun again for the next 10, 15 minutes or so, Douglas. What is going on? As I told you at off mic, here in California, we thought everybody, east of the Mississippi was just frozen in a block of ice. Your cars were frozen up. That nor'easter just took you guys out, but that's not the case, huh?
No, it really didn't. It hit us.
Oh, okay.
It was funny too, because based on that news, the schools were closed the morning of, and it was completely fine. But about 3 o'clock that afternoon to about 5:30, we got hit with and it was really a lot of snow in a few minutes. I mean, we got about 8 inches. Mm-hmm. But it's been melting ever since. It snowed. When it snowed, it was just about freezing. It was, 33 degrees out. So it wasn't the end of the world, and we're fine. We're back and ready to roll.
So did you spend any time binge watching any TV shows during that time, or
well, I did
Netflix
binge watch.
or anything?
Yes. Did you? I don't know if you saw the end of Hunting Hitler.
No.
As opposed to the Curse of Oak Island search, which is going on and on and on.
We call it the hoax of the hoax. the Curse of Hoax Island.
They did find a ruby, and they did find an old cross, so they're getting to something there.
I found an old beer can in my backyard too a couple of weeks ago. So
I'll get the cameras out. Don't worry, I'll start filming that out. I'll start digging up your backyard for more stuff. But I binged Hunting Hitler for this season, and it is amazing with great results in terms of making you think about, did this really happen? And there's some real things that they found, real evidence that Hitler did not die in the bunker and made his way all the way to Argentina.
Now, Douglas, the parts that I did see, I may have seen the final. You know what? I think I may have seen the final episode where they conclusively, they can prove that Joseph Mengele was there, remarried, trying to make the heavy water, the whole business. I may have seen the last episode, or just next to the last episode.
Yeah, scary. Talk about the news not getting the weather right. I don't know that our history books got this right, and this is a lot more significant. I mean, question everything, like they said remember Charlton Heston in Planet of the Apes? Just about at the end of the movie, says to the young kid, don't believe anybody over 30, keep up the skepticism, and make up your own mind. I mean, that's really what we got to do these days.
With shows like that, the Curse of Oak Island, I always feel if there were some substantial findings, we would have heard about it by now. And apparently, the Oak Island, they are coming back for another season. They weren't quite sure if they were going to come back, but apparently the ratings were really hyped up this year, and they will be back for another year. But Marty is now off hunting lost Civil War gold.
Yes,
in Lake Michigan.
Exactly. So
or at least funding the
right. Something
the
happened there.
Yeah.
In Oak Island, enough happened to convince people to, besides the ratings, to actually watch. And to put him on board with another project. So I don't know. I think. I don't know if that's where I'll dig into that a little bit, but I like if you have to see the end of the Hunting Hitler and what they do with this information, and as a result, what may happen.
Oh, okay, okay.
So,
good.
I just want to reiterate, you got to have an open mind with this stuff, and if there was a huge finding of something huge, you quote would have heard about it. I'm not sure that's always the fact. Number one, number two. take a look. We just looked at a couple of weeks back, the conspiracies with Dr. Viviani. Remember that show?
Right.
And we talked about Amelia Earhart. All over AOL and the Internet today is that a gentleman believes that he found the body, remains, and they're doing testing on it of Amelia Earhart in the island that we said that she was. And
now, does that coincide with that picture? Remember about a year ago they had that picture? It does. It's part of that investigation.
Yes,
wow.
And we had also it coincides with we had a witness on the show, secondhand, if you will, but his audio of a gentleman who's a naturalized citizen now of the U.S., but his grandfather was in Saipan in the war and in that range in the 1940s, and said that there was a woman imprisoned there and died in prison there, and a man, both Americans. And I believe it's all going to come together. It's an amazing story. And again, you don't really hear this. People aren't open to it. It's in the history books that it happened a certain way, and we're finding evidence that it's not always true what we're reading.
Well, we'll find out about Oak Island. I'd like to go to Oak Island. I mean, would you go? I'd go. I'd take. In fact, why don't I tell you what? I'm going to go get a ticket. We probably can't go there now. It might be too harsh. The harsh winters. We have to, I got to be careful of those northeasters going anywhere south or going anywhere north rather. Anyway, maybe I'll come. I'll fly into New York, and then you, me, and we'll take Leo and Angelica, and we'll go to. Can we fly? Where we have to fly to Nova Scotia, then get a car and drive to Oak Island?
We should do better. Take a little more time. They've got nice cruises from New York to Nova Scotia, so we can make pleasure out of it, too, as well. In other words, if we don't find anything, we'll at least have said we did a nice cruise on the way up.
You look it up, and we'll go. I'm going to Alaska in 10-day cruise to Alaska from San Francisco to Alaska and back in June. So after that, you book that cruise, and we'll go from New York to Nova Scotia. And I wonder can you get onto Oak Island?
That's a good question. It's a very secluded location. There's only one road in, although I've heard that the uptick of people going to the island has already occurred, and people are definitely making trips there to see what's been going on.
Because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, see, I got into Oak Island I've only been into it for about 2 years. My son and I were on vacation over the Christmas holiday a couple of 2 years ago, and you know how they show episodes just 10 a day or whatever of a show,
right.
And this was on it, and he said, "Oh yeah, I watch this all the time," and so I got involved in it. So I've kind of coming to the table late on this, but I think that one of those guys, not the old guy, but one of the middle-aged guys, I think the Lagina brothers bought his share of Oak Island Tour Company or something out, and that's how they have the rights to be on the island. Because I think there was a tour company, and if you look at one of the, I forget what the guy's name is, his hat every once in a while says Oak Island Tour Company on it. So,
interesting. Yeah,
I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they'll? This show is really taking a crazy. Yeah. Do you think they'll find?
I think the Knight Templars. There's evidence the Knight Templars were there. There's evidence of a person from the Arab, Arab or how to describe that
Middle Eastern descent. Yeah.
Yes. So I think there's something there. Is there a huge treasure? I don't know. They did find. I don't want to take anything away from it, but they did find I think it's a 15th century brooch.
Yeah, and they think it may be part of Marie Antoinette's.
Right. So what's that doing there, and what is this old cross doing there? So will they find it? That's really the question.
Next year.
I don't know. It's a really bizarre thing. How could they have hidden this in such a way that we can't find it 500, 600 years later? The technology that back then was better than now and so forth. That's what's the odd thing to me. But they are finding some unusual things. So I would say there's something going on there. Now, is it going to be the Ark of the Covenant? No. Is it going to be a couple of rubies maybe? Yeah. They'll find a couple of drips and drabs.
Or what JD, my oldest son, and I think the biggest treasure they will find will be like family or friendship. After it's all over, all these guys that have been there, Marty and his son will get closer. Marty and Rick, his brother, will get closer, and they'll find that. That's what will be the true treasure of Oak Island.
They just did, that would be an ending that would kind of save the day for them if they don't find anything. But they just did a special, an hour long, on the examination of the Knights Templar. Now, I wouldn't put it past them to just do that to wet your whistle, but I think that's a little foreshadowing a little bit, that they spent a whole hour talking about the whole history of the Knights Templar and what went on and what could possibly have done, and piecing all of their pieces together that they found in the to combine with the history of this show. So I don't know if they're playing games with us or not. We'll know in a year.
They must be doing something right, because you and I have been talking for 10 minutes and 40 seconds right now about a show that we think is hokum. So
exactly.
Here we go. Oh, plus Hunting Hitler, which I think's more. I like that. I don't know if I can say it's more real, but I like that more than
they
Oak
found
Island,
some real evidence,
yeah.
real evidence of things going on there. You really got to watch that show. It's amazing. Speaking of hokum, did you see that Netflix released the Lost in Space trailer 3 days ago?
No.
Brand new show, Lost in Space. It appears they're taking it seriously, though Dr. Smith is Parker Posey, who's a pretty comedic actress that she was in Best in Show years ago, and you may recognize her. So there is a Dr. Smith. There's a robot who's kind of humanoid-ish. Has 2 legs and 2 arms and a head, instead of the robot that we used to see in the 60s. Right, but it does say Danger Will Robinson, and it looks. The production values are tremendous. Of course, it's going to depend upon the writing, but it looks pretty good.
Well, what's up for this week's show?
Well, this week's show, we are going to take a look at the American family and how it's been represented in television through the ages, from the 50s till now. Not ages, but through the 50s till now. We take a look at, Make Room for Daddy with Danny Thomas, The Portrait of Eddie's Father, Mary Tyler Moore, All in the Family, Happy Days, all the way up to Goldberg's and Blackish and Modern Family, and how the family's changes been represented on television differently, and further how women's role has changed. And we have a special guest to join us. Young David Cohen's wife, Michelle the Cohen, will be on the air with us to give a woman's point of view. So I think it's something rare. Talk about rarities. That's something rare on Everything Old.
I am really looking forward to later on this month the reboot of Roseanne. I'm looking forward to that, and I hope I'm not disappointed.
I'll tell you, I was never a fan, but the reboot, what I'm seeing, is very intriguing, and I think we will be watching it over here as well to see how that goes.
All right. Douglas Viviani and David Cohen and the lovely Michelle Cohen tonight at 6 o'clock. Again, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Everything Old is New again. Douglas, have a great weekend and a good show tonight.
Thank you. You too.
All right.